I put out a video recently. It was called 10 Hours of Walking in New York City Response. And I did a response to the viral video that's going around where they film a woman walking in New York City for 10 hours. And Jason Unruhe, sorry if I'm pronouncing that incorrectly, really popular communist. He has over 15,000 subscribers on YouTube, so pretty big guy. And he did a response. He did an article on my video, so I wanted to response to that video. So I'm actually doing a response to a response to a response. So let's take a look. Thank you very much for, by the way, thanks to everyone for sharing the videos, for sharing that video. It's now my third most watched video on the channel. So thanks a lot for that. You know, commenting, liking, that all helps because it boosts up the chances that it'll be recommended to other people when you interact and everything. And I love, you know, reading the comments, obviously, and all that. That's all great. And, you know, all the feedback is really appreciated. So, you know, a critique from somebody as big as him, you know, great. So he goes on. We're all familiar with the video of the women walking for 10 hours in New York City, cataloging the harassment she received. Obviously, MRAs, misogynists, were quite upset at this video and made attempts to misrepresent it. So he's saying, you know, MRAs, misogynists. I'm assuming he's saying misogynists, or, you know, MRAs are all misogynists. You know, obviously that's, if you actually look into MRA, it's, you know, it's not misogyny. I wouldn't categorize myself as an MRA. If you want to categorize me as that, I mean, you know, I'm not going to be like, oh my God, you called me an MRA. The reason for that being is that having any sort of movement in a collective can lead to ignoring, you know, other collectives. You know, I consider myself an individualist. So, you know, if the men's rights movement got really popular, you know, it could lead down the same path that feminism has done and ignore women's rights, right? So I consider myself an individualist, but I think, you know, the MRM has very good points that need to be brought up and into the discussion. You know, I don't take it as an insult if you call me an MRA. A misogynist, that's just completely inaccurate, but whatever. An anarcho-capitalist, Josh Cardosi, made a response to the video where he essentially claims that he can disprove the video. I never said I could disprove the video. That's a pretty strong term. Disprove is like if you know, somebody makes like a math thing and you're like, no, that's not right. That's not the right answer. Then you actually, you know, do the equations or whatever and you disprove their answer, right? Or at the very least, you can demonstrate that the video was dishonest. Yeah, that's more of an accurate claim as to what my video is aiming to do. In his attempt to do so, he makes a few illogical statements, some of which resort to typical misogynist thinking and behavior. After watching it, I made 9 points which entirely refute the overall claim of the video, those being that it was not harassment and it wasn't that bad. I did make I believe I did make the claim that it was not harassment. I didn't say it was not that bad specifically, but my goal of the video was not to make any sort of like, this is, you know, this is like, disprove, as he says, right, the other video of walking through the street for 10 hours. My goal was just get people thinking, right, to get people kind of jostling their heads about the other side of this and everything, and to kind of look at it from a different angle. So, you know, my goal wasn't to debunk, you know, the video. I really just want people to get people thinking about this sort of thing. So yeah, let's see his 9 points. He's saying it should have been more if it was a problem, comma, false. He's saying it should have been more if it was a problem. So he's saying that there should have been more harassment. He, referring to me, he's saying that there should have been more harassment if harassment was a problem. Then he says, comma, false, period. That's his entire point. I said if harassment is a problem, then this video is a way to display it to a maximum. Because this is pretty much as much walking time that you can get into a single take, unless you compiled many days over, in a single video. This is as much walking as you're going to get in a single take, and that's a pretty good sample size, is 10 hours, or approximately 30 miles according to Google. It's also in the most populated city in the country, by far. New York has over 8 million people. The only city that comes close is Los Angeles with 3 million people. So, that's almost 3 times as much as the runner-up. That's pretty huge. So, maximum amount of people, maximum amount of time, maximum results for this problem of harassment, right? 2, he says it's not that bad. I never said that specifically. It's not that bad. I never said that. According to the person who was not harassed. I guess he means me. Like, he says not that bad, according to the person who was not harassed. Okay. His idea of what harassment is not the same as those who are being harassed. So my definition of harassment would be someone who's persistently trying to get something out of someone, even after it was clear that the person is not interested. So, if I say, buy this phone, and you say, no, I say, come on, you gotta buy this phone. You say, no, I don't want to, I keep following you when I say, you gotta buy this phone. No. That's obviously harassment, right? But saying one comment or something like that, do you want to buy this phone? Hey, selling phones, ice cream. That's not harassment. I don't see, unless you can make some sort of claim that any statement that's asking for anything is harassment, which means that nobody could ever ask for anything, which means that they can never get their needs met, but whatever. Then that's the only way that some of what was in the video could be labeled as harassment. Even so, a lot of these guys weren't asking for anything; they were just making comments. So, unless you define harassment as making any sort of comment that may be misconstrued to mean that they might want something from you, which would basically just be about every comment, right? And that's the only way you could label this as harassment. So I do make the claim that it's not harassment for the most part, at least. He's saying if it doesn't bother him, it doesn't or shouldn't bother the woman. I never said that. False. It occurs in an entirely different context. He doesn't back that up, of course. Number 3. These statements were not intended as compliments or being polite. They were intended to grab attention. So he's referring to the men that said things like, quote, have a nice evening, end quote. He doesn't know that. He's making this claim he's asserting the claim with no evidence. So, he doesn't know that they weren't just being polite, and I never made the claim that they were just being polite. I think you'll find they wouldn't have done that with less attractive women. He's also implying that if they're intended to be friendly, they would be doing that with everyone else. I never said that. Ever walked in New York City? They're not that friendly. I never walked in New York City that much. I mean, I have been there, but not for much. I just recently moved to LA, and I've been walking the streets quite a bit, been exploring a lot. And yeah, I've had a few people who say, good day, have a, that's, those sorts of comments. Have a good day, how are you? That's that sort of thing, just walking on the street. I didn't take it to mean them as hitting on me or anything like that. I took it as politeness. I don't know that for sure, but yeah, I don't see what's so strange about the behavior, and I certainly didn't take any offense to it. Even if there were men hitting on me, and I've been hit on by gay men, I have no problem with it. That's that's fine. I'm not gay myself, but whatever, just tell them I'm not interested, and that's that's all. I don't really see a problem with that. If they were to persistently, go at it or something, then that would be crossing the line. But, just making one sort of comment like, quote, have a nice evening, end quote, which was in the video, I don't see the problem with that. Number 4, he claims without any way of demonstrating it that her speaking to the guy who followed her was lead on causing him to stay. So I think he mistyped this. I think he meant to say that her not speaking to the guy who followed her was lead on causing him to stay. I actually never said that. Her words did display disinterest. Okay, her words. I'm not sure I don't understand. She didn't say anything to the guy that I heard, and there was nothing captioned in the video that said any words that she said. So My understanding is that she didn't say anything to the guy. It may, maybe she did, and it was just off camera or something. But that was my understanding. I think it was, the theme of the whole entire video seems to be that she goes around saying nothing. So, her words did display disinterest, so he should have left anyway. This is victim blaming. He's essentially saying she asked for it by negatively engaging. So, by saying negatively engaging, he is saying that she didn't say anything, right? No, I didn't say that she asked for it. I said that the guy might have gone away as soon as she said the word. I don't know. That's why I said the word might. She chose not to verbalize anything. I don't know. I did not defend the man following her. I don't think he is, in the right or anything. In no way was I, trying to defend her. I was just pointing out if she said, "Hey, go away," he might have went away. I don't know. But yeah, I made no claim as to she was asking for it by negatively engaging or anything like that. Number 5. He says, if this is harassment, then what would feminists classify salesmen? Well, they classify it as selling something in a sales pitch, which isn't the same thing as hitting on someone, which is sexual in nature. So there's this kind of separation that people have that as soon as something is sexual, it's it's evil. If I'm a salesperson and I say, buy this ice cream code, hey, who wants to buy an ice cream code? Then nobody has a problem with that. If I say, hey, you want to have sex with me? Right, that's obviously pretty stupid to do, as you might get slapped in the face. You're not going to want to say yes if you're a man. But saying it's, harassment all of a sudden, well, you would also need to say, saying buy some ice cream is harassment. Or, you could say, well, sex is a lot more than just buying ice cream. Okay, well, buying a car is probably, a bigger decision than having sex for a lot of people. So, a salesman saying, want to buy this car, I mean, they're offering a pretty big commitment there. You got to make monthly payments, you got to do all this and that. It's a pretty big commitment. And, nobody would say that, well, I guess some people would, but, any reasonable person wouldn't say that a car salesman, that's why I said, I think I said a car salesman. I'm not sure, not 100%, but I think I said car salesman. A car salesman would be a harasser, unless he was actually harassing, like, no, I don't want to buy a car, no, you gotta buy this car. he stalks him or something, obviously. But it's just simply saying one comment. And then to further, extend this and to say that, saying a comment that could be misconstrued in some way to hint at maybe asking sex at one point as harassment is just, is very, very far, right? Number 6, he falsely assumes that 100% incidents that were not placed in the video must have been less than the ones displayed. Less meaning further away from harassment. They were probably equal to them. He has no way to back that up. But so the reason why I say this is because the video appears, at least, to be aiming toward displaying street harassment as a problem. So in video editing, when you're trying to display something like street harassment is a problem, then you're going to take the best examples of street harassment and you're going to put them in the video. So they only had 2 minutes to show this important problem, according to them, important problem of street harassment. They're going to take the samples that best demonstrated the street harassment, if they're genuinely, maybe this organization is an MRA organization in disguise or something. Maybe you can make that sort of claim. But if we take their word for it and they're feminists and they say street harassment is a problem, then in order to sufficiently do that, then they need to take the best ones and condense and take, those are the ones that they're going to show, right? So all others, logically, are going to be either less or equal. You could say equal, but they're only going to be equal to the ones that are furthest away from harassment in the video. You can connect that pretty lot. This is not complicated. So if, quote, have a nice evening, end quote, made it into the video, which it did, then all other incidences would have to be either equal or less than. So I probably should have said that, equal or less than. So I do want to alter that statement. So I said it must be even further away from harassment. Technically, it could be equal to the least, the furthest away from harassment in the video. It could be equal to or less than that. So I'll amend that statement. So okay, they were probably equal to them. He's presupposing they're not harassment and implying they must therefore not be harassment, or that the incidents didn't happen at all. Quote, have a nice evening is not harassment, and anything that's equal to or lesser than is not harassment. Unless you have a very bizarre definition of harassment. I think that's pretty reasonable definition. Yeah. Number 7, he follows up by saying the woman was harassed 10 minutes and 10 hours. I said that's an overestimate. It's definitely an overestimate of, so I overestimated the amount of minutes because, there's only 2 minutes in the video. And there were a couple instances where they said it went on for a few minutes, so I just overestimated and say 10 minutes. Follows up, the woman was harassed 10 minutes and 10 hours, or 1/60th of the time, so it's not that much. I never said, so it's not that much. I just pointed out the facts. Then he uses various ways of expressing it to make it look as minimal as possible. Nope, I said 10 hours at 10 minutes, 1 out of 60th, and then I express it as a percentage, 1.66. If that is some sort of propaganda in order to express it as minimal as possible, all I did was a simple arithmetic. If you have a problem with arithmetic, that's not really my problem. You got to take it up to arithmetic. All I did was express it as a percentage. That's just facts. I didn't express it as minimal as possible. I didn't try to mask it as anything. Some people like to think of these sorts of things in terms of percentage instead of terms of fractions. Fractions is a little harder to get your head around. So I like to kind of think of things in terms of percentage a lot. So I put it in percentage, and I think it gives you a good idea. And I overestimated the amount of time, so it's probably less than 1.66% really. But I didn't express it in multiple ways in order to minimize. I just did simple arithmetic. That's all I did. You can watch the video. That's all I did. How about someone pick a fight with him for a minute every hour and then say it's, quote, nothing, end quote. Now, I'm not sure why he's putting nothing in quotes because I never said the word nothing in my video. I also like how he's resorting to violence right away. His name is Maoist. So, I'm not really expecting much other. But here he is, critiquing me because I'm not, I just can't understand the importance of street harassment. And then, not too long after he's calling upon violence on me, right? Like, this is where his mind goes. Obviously, this is not a real call for violence. It's, but this is where, his mind goes, right? Why doesn't he pick a fight with him? He's saying it's not a lot, so therefore it's nothing. He uses this again. He asserts that again. I never said it's nothing. That's completely inaccurate to say it's nothing. 1.66% is not 0%. It's just not true. So I never said that. Never imply that or anything unless you were to say that 1.66% is the same as 0%. Then I never said it was nothing or close to nothing or whatever. Number 8, in a ridiculous non sequitur, he goes on about statics regards to suicide, which has nothing to do with street harassment. So what I did was I wanted to bring in kind of the other side into the conversation. Not just the woman being harassed by whatever definition the video wanted to use, harassed, but also the men who would do the quote-unquote harassment, right? The men who would pursue women. I kind of wanted to bring in the both sides. I think we should kind of bring in both sides of the equation if we want to be intellectually honest, right? So this is a further attempt to claim that the harassment she suffered was nothing, or somehow irrelevant in comparison. I didn't say it was irrelevant or nothing. I didn't even say, I didn't make any of those claims. All I did was compare it. That's all I did. Nobody else is comparing it, so I'm just comparing it. Letting you guys, comment, whatever. What do you think? Bring it into the conversation. Comparing it. And, I never actually made any conclusions as to the comparison in the video. All I did was propose the question. What do you guys think? Let me know. And I think that's important, to be intellectually honest, to consider both sides of the arguments. Number 9. Finally, he ends with complete ignorance, comparing male to female suicide statistics as though it's somehow relevant when it's not. His claim is that women have a privilege of being able to get affection on command. He ignores the fact that, in italics, they don't want this attention. You'll notice I said on command, right? So by definition, if it's on command, then they do want it. And what I mean by this, just to clarify a little bit, so the social norm is for women, they just kind of wait, maybe, make subtle hints as to a guy they like or something, and they just wait for men to hit on them, and then they choose yes or no, right? They choose no, not interested, or yes, okay, I'll go. So that's all they have to do, right? And then if so all they have to do to find someone, to find a companion with them is, I'm talking in generalities here. I'm not talking in absolutes. I just want to clarify that too. General social norms, okay? I'm not going by, this is always the case. I'm talking generally, okay? So, the woman, just says yes or no, and then if she wants to find the right guy, then essentially all she has to do is wait, right? And then the right guy will just talk to her, then she'll be like, hey, this guy's cool. She'll go out with him, right? A man, generally, right, has to go out and get rejected by a bunch of girls. And in order to find the right girl, if he's really looking for a specific type and all that, then he has to talk to a lot of women. So, the women who don't pay attention to him, whatever, or no, I'm not interested, or whatever, have a boyfriend or something. Those women are ruled out, and then the women who do talk to him, she has to be interested as well as he has to be interested in her. So, it takes a lot, and it takes a lot of confidence to go up to all those women and talk to them, right? And then when you make these kind of feminist videos, what effect, these kind of, all this feminist content, what effect does that have, right? Because think about this too. Think about the guy who was following her, right? Well, I'm not backing up at all. The guy who, is persistent and like, yeah, give me my number, give me your number, whatever, right? Is that guy really going to be persuaded by feminist content? Right? Is that guy going to read an article? Is that guy going to watch a video and go, really reflect upon himself and then change his attitude, right? Probably not. Now, what about somebody who's, more socially awkward, kind of, away from other people. And, these guys who are more socially awkward, who are, don't pursue as much, do have to actually go out and meet the women. They could actually, these are often very intelligent men and all that sort of thing. So these are the type of men who would be persuaded by that sort of thing. And so these might be someone who read an article or watch a video or whatever and go, oh, I don't want to be a harasser, right? So if we keep labeling, saying, quote, have a nice evening, to the point where we're saying, quote, have a nice evening, end quote, is harassment, then what effect does that have on the men who literally their only option, they can't just, wait around and have women hit on them and say yes or no. That doesn't happen, generally speaking. They have to actually go pursue this. So what effect does it have when we say that any attempt to pursue a woman at all, even to the point where we say, quote, have a nice day, end quote, what effect does that have on men, right? He ignores, clearly he can't tell the difference between someone caring about a person and someone just hitting on them with no intention other than sexual conduct. So here he's claiming that these men had no intention other than sexual conduct. How does he know that? Quote, have a nice day, evening, end quote. That's no intention other than sexual conduct? That's a pretty bold claim to make. And I never claimed that, it was, anything else. I mean, but to claim that it was, no intention other than sexual conduct, that's pretty bold. And then he concludes the article. This video demonstrates quite vividly the complete disconnection that misogynists have with the reality of what it is to be harassed as a woman. So he's labeling me as a misogynist here. I'm a misogynist because I present facts, I use arithmetic, I point out social norms, and I bring other things into comparison and all that sort of thing. So I'm a misogynist for doing that, apparently. And this video quite vividly, so not only is he saying, this kind of video quite vividly demonstrates that misogynists, so not only is he putting me as a misogynist, but he's putting me as the representative to all misogynists out there, right? Because me, a quote-unquote misogynist, made a video where I do simple arithmetic, point out social norms, and bring things into the conversation that other people have not. Because I've done that, right? And that speaks to all misogynists. And all misogynists can't tell the reality of being harassed, of what it is to be harassed as a woman. But he knows what it's like to be harassed as a woman, I guess. Maybe he's transgender or something, I don't know. Yeah, let me know what you guys think of this video. I want to hear your thoughts. Well, let me think, of his article. Does he have any valid points? Yeah, thanks a lot for watching. Share all that good stuff. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, all that thing. Yeah, thanks a lot for watching my video, guys.